Jeremy Corbyn uses his Marxist supporters to take revenge on the Labour Party, but Sir Keir Starmer fights back. Hello everyone and welcome to the first video of the day. So as you might have heard, last night the Labour Party, the National Executive, decided to readmit Jeremy Corbyn to the Labour Party after only 19 days of suspension. As you might remember, obviously Sir Keir Starmer decided to be robust against Jeremy Corbyn and kicked him out of the party, but then Corbynistas decided to plot against the whole of the party. They, in the recent election for the executive, they had 9 candidates who were quite hardcore Corbynistas, and they decided to stand. They won, and they voted for Corbyn to come back in. I'm going to explain the whole situation because the whole party is now in chaos. You might wonder why this matters, why I'm even talking about the Labour Party. Who cares about the Labour Party? It does matter with everything that's going on right now with the government, with the lockdown situation, with Brexit, and all the global issues that's obviously facing us with the Great Reset and everything else. There's absolutely no opposition in this country. So as I mentioned, firstly, you had these 9 candidates from Claudia Webb to obviously John Landsman, all the crazies, all the usual hardcore Marxists who stood on this slate called JC9, and they won. So you remember when Sir Keir Starmer became leader, and then they said, Corbynistas are going to leave, and the moderates are taking over. Firstly, even the shadow cabinet, yeah, it looks slightly better than the previous one, but these are the same people who served on Jeremy Corbyn's shadow cabinet, a lot of them, including the current leader of the Labour Party, Sir Keir Starmer. So what's happening right now is that they managed to get these seats, and they voted for Corbyn to be readmitted. Now, when the news came out, Jeremy Corbyn started to celebrate with his friends on a Zoom video call, and he somehow said that he's now a Labour MP again.
This afternoon, the NEC panel reinstated me as a member of the Labour Party. So once again, Islington North has a Labour MP. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, that clapping, the applause, definitely not a cult. Corbyn is not a cult, guys. It's kind of embarrassing. You have all these people who literally treat this guy as some sort of messiah. He's not a messiah. He's a very naughty boy. So when you have a situation where, on the other hand, just before the news came out, you had a number of pro-Corbyn councillors resigning from in certain areas, including Lancashire and other parts of the country. 5 of the councillors decided to leave and form a new party, a kind of eco-socialist kind of group. And then the news came out that Jeremy's back. But it was too late by then because they've already sent their statements and everything else. And so I bet they felt quite bad about the situation. It's slightly too late anyway, because what happened after was that Jeremy Corbyn and his supporters thought that he's back. He's now a Labour MP again. There's a lot of pressure on Starmer to actually make sure that he's not becoming a Labour MP again. So Kate McCann, actually from Sky News, reported that last night a group of Labour MPs, moderate ones, warned Sir Keir Starmer that they will leave the party if Jeremy Corbyn becomes a Labour MP again. So he's a Labour member, but he's not a Labour MP. And obviously that put a lot of pressure on the leadership to make sure that that doesn't happen. It's all irrelevant, by the way, because, again, what matters in general is that the new leader, who only about 19 days ago when the suspension started, he made his speech and he said that never again will the Labour Party let you down. And he was speaking to obviously the Jewish community and everyone else who've been affected by the crazy management under Jeremy Corbyn, all the people who were forced out of the party. Well, what happened? I thought Starmer was supposed to be reforming the party. He's lost control because the Corbynistas decided not to give up. They decided to come back in and cause more trouble. So for those of you who obviously think that this guy wants to change something, I get it. I'm pretty sure he wants to do that because he wants to win the next election. But it doesn't really help because the way the structure of the Labour Party works, you've got the actual national executive. you have to vote for them. So technically speaking, the leadership don't really have a say. But what he could do is what Tony Blair did at the time, and Neil Kinnock, to get rid of the Marxists and the hardcore lefties. They're not doing that yet because the moment the suspension started 19 days ago, Corbynists decided to plot against the whole of the leadership instead of giving up. Now, Laura Kunsberg from the BBC said that one Labour insider was even calling for the General Secretary of the party to think about quitting. They've said that today is not a failure of process, but a failure of leadership. Labour has failed the Jewish community with this decision, and David Evan has failed Sir Keir Starmer, and he should consider his position. That's a fair point. Not going to happen, obviously, because there was a reason that the 9 candidates stood on that slate and won those positions. So there's a massive coalition on the executive right now from the moderates, pro-Starmer, anti-Starmer, and obviously the hardcore Corbynistas. And then Jeremy himself decided to tweet this, saying, "I'm very pleased to have been reinstated in the Labour Party and would like to thank party members, trade unionists, and all who have offered solidarity." He does love his solidarity. He did say that our movement must now come together to oppose and defeat this deeply damaging Conservative government. Why is he talking like a leader? Why? Also, I'm pretty sure your side, Jeremy, doesn't want unity. You don't want the party to come together. You guys have spent the last few months keep saying that you want to get rid of the new leadership. It's not working. So when he says he wants our movement to come together, he's talking about the momentum. He's not talking about the moderate Labour activists. And then the biggest thing that we had from the Playbook and the latest rumours and gossip that came out was the last few hours since last night was this pressure on Sir Keir Starmer to make sure that he doesn't give the whip back to Jeremy Corbyn, because you've had people like Margaret Hodge, who's a moderate MP, threatening to quit. You've had a number of others. You've had the Jewish groups saying that they're going to obviously form a formal group against them. And as we said, the General Secretary has been in trouble. No one knows what's happening at this point because both sides are still continuing this battle. When we have a government that needs some sort of scrutiny, we thought that Downing Street are having troubles with the whole Dominic Cummings and stuff and everything else that's been happening with the lockdown decisions, with the free school meals, and now obviously the Brexit trade talks are getting difficult. And then these guys are still obsessed with their own internal battle. It's quite embarrassing for everybody that's concerned, because one issue I have is that people like Len McCloskey, who's one of the top trade unionists, is so focused on making sure that Starmer's team collapse that they're not really concerned about the government. In the next few months in this country and in the West, we're going to have a lot of challenging debates, as I said, from the global Britain stuff with Brexit, the relationship that we're going to have with the United States, whether we're going to have Trump or Biden as presidents, and then we're going to have to deal with the World Economic Forum's Great Reset, the 2030 agenda that now the government confirmed they're going to go ahead with the green agenda. Obviously, the Labour Party will support that anyway, so that's not going to help the situation. I don't think any party in Parliament is going to oppose that. But the biggest issue is that the Labour Party is now in actual trouble. They've had about 100 years, or just over 100 years, that they've had the established movement, and it's been going pretty okay. They've been in government a few times. I think at this point we don't really have an opposition in this country. We don't. What are you going to have? The Liberal Democrats? We're going to have the Brexit Party or Reform UK? That doesn't really work because technically speaking, they're also towards the right. You don't really have any left-wing parties that could hold the government to account. And it is a worrying situation, and I'm saying it as a classical liberal right-winger. Not that I want the Labour Party to do well for that reason, but we need some sort of scrutiny, and this is all childish party politics. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware that we do need some sort of centralised movement in Westminster to make sure that you don't have a situation like in Scotland, like with Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP, where there is no real opposition. The Tories did well for a while with Ruth Davidson, but there's absolutely no opposition there either. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget, in the next video, I'm going to talk about the government now in that one, because we've discovered a lot of corruption and nepotism, especially with the test and trace, the lockdown decisions and everything else that's been going on. So that video is going to come out at 8 p.m. tonight. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And I've mentioned this before because I still get emails from you guys saying that sometimes you guys get unsubscribed. I've been told that YouTube are trying to unsubscribe or remove the spam accounts, but sometimes the algorithm, let's just say, unintentionally remove real people, real accounts. So you have to make sure that you subscribe, click on the notification bell next to it, and then all, not personalized, to get notified. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.